On today's episode, it's the distant year of 2007, and the only sport left is the Death Ring, ruled over with an iron fist by the Swordsman. One lone hero stands in his way, a hero named Alley Cat. We watched Firepower as WrestleMania continues, today on Nothing Movies.
Shooting down the walls of heartache, bang, bang, I am the warrior.
Well, now what are you gonna do for the closing line? How are you gonna end the episode now?
Look, the Ultimate Warrior isn't short on notable quips and remarks.
Well,
there's certainly one I won't be using.
This is going to be an eye-opening episode for me because I know none of them. I maybe know the least about today's subject than I have ever known any topic that we've ever discussed on this podcast ever.
Well, then I'll enjoy educating you on the most, I'm going to say hated man in wrestling.
Look, I stopped welcome back, however you wish to self-identify to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and we choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
I'm Jameson Raptor.
Today we're talking about some movie. So, The Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
So...
Oh, and welcome back to WrestleMania.
Oh, and welcome back to WrestleMania. That was the other important thing I should have mentioned. Yes. Okay, so in the past on this podcast, we have issued brief statements about some of the topics that we have discussed, basically saying that while we are here to discuss their career and their filmography, that doesn't necessarily mean that we sign off on them as a person.
Of course not.
Brad Pitt has been revealed to kind of be an emotionally abusive prick. Tom Cruise has that whole, massive cult thing going on for him that Jameson loves it every time I bring that up.
Yeah, I'm calling my lawyers right now.
Yeah, but this is the first time that we have discussed a person on the podcast where I feel compelled to say right up top, fuck this guy.
Yeah. No argument there.
I did a brief amount of reading before we delved into this episode today, and the more I read about this guy, the more I didn't like him.
He's a bit of a prick.
We're talking about one of the baddest bad boys in all of wrestling entertainment.
He was a good guy, though.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Second only to Hulk Hogan. I think that says a lot.
Well, look.
In the hindsight of 2025 landscape.
The thing with wrestlers is the line between good guy and bad guy is very tenuous. It's very liquid, shall we say. It's very sculpable.
I mean,
so
despite appearances, Stone Cold Steve Austin is a real salt-of-the-earth kind of guy. Jesse the Body Ventura looks intimidating and was a great heel, but he's actually fairly level-headed.
Yeah. Well, Stone Cold, looked like a bad guy in the ring and out of the ring, and in both cases is an absolutely delightful human being. Mm-hmm. One might say the antithesis of the man that we are talking about today.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior, a.k.a.
Warrior, because he legally changed his name to Warrior.
That's right, I read that too. Yes, a.k.a. Warrior. You know what? We'll just call him Warrior.
We'll get into that.
His last name is Hellwig.
Jim Hellwig.
Well, except it's not, because...
now it's Warrior.
Now it's Warrior, and actually it's his death certificate, R.I.P. Yes, we're talking about 1993's Firepower. Mm-hmm. The only movie that the Ultimate Warrior ever starred in. We talk about the filmographies of people on this podcast, and when it's WrestleMania, we talk about the filmographies of wrestlers. I will run down Jim Hellwig's filmography right now. In 1993, he made this movie called Firepower.
That's it?
That's it, we're done! That was the shortest goddamn episode ever. Jameson, you insisted on this.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hate it, but like you did say, like, we need to carve out a time slot in our WrestleMania this year to talk about the Ultimate Warrior.
Because it's just so much fun to bring up how much of an asshole this guy is. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have a robust filmography at all, but we're just
I
going to
wouldn't
be...
even say he has a filmography.
There's a lot to discuss with this fella. He's like one of the most recognizable wrestlers of that era too. You can't get away with, the amount of face painting and just like the vibrant color and the energy that guy brought. Like I said, he was for a time the second most popular good guy in WWF after Hulk Hogan. He was the heir apparent to Hulk Hogan. He was meant to be the Hulk Hogan of the 90s. And then, well, I'll get into it.
Well, it's so interesting to learn because I've only been watching the Mr. McMahon Netflix series, and everything that I have seen about Ultimate Warrior up until this point, I don't think the Ultimate Warrior has said a single word so far in the Mr. McMahon series. They've just gone over WrestleMania 6, where he takes the belt from Hogan. And the entire time, all of the footage that I've seen of him, he's just shaking those ropes. He's just getting in there, and he's just shaking. And that's all he does. He just gets in there, and he shakes their... And so, I'm under the assumption that was all he did. He just jumped in, and he just shook the ropes.
Yeah.
And,
one of the main reasons he's not in the documentary is he's dead.
I wasn't expecting a one-on-one interview with him, but I meant footage.
Okay.
I meant actual footage.
Sure.
Speaking of one-on-one interviews in the Mr. McMahon series, is the Undertaker okay? Because it looks like he always looks shocked.
Always?
His standard face is just one of you just told him something mildly surprising. He's always every time the camera cuts to him, it looks like he's just going oh my.
Yeah. Oh, you want to talk about that? Okay. Well,
but even when he's just he's just in his resting face, he just seems to have this look of I'm not trying to knock any of these guys. I know they've put their bodies and their souls through absolute hell for our entertainment, and we appreciate it, and that's why once every month
every year
we
3 times every year
there we go.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yep,
that's
what
we do on the show.
All right.
I am bringing the energy to this podcast this morning, but I'm giving things over to my co-host here because
thank you.
he's gonna drive the bus for a while here.
Gotcha.
And I'm gonna enjoy this delicious coffee. And you tell me about the Ultimate Warrior.
Sure.
What were his hopes? What were his dreams?
His hopes.
What
All right.
were his what were his pronouns?
His prophecies.
I feel like I can guess what his pronouns are.
All right. So obviously, I'm not going to get into the absolute reprehensible shit that he says on his speaking tours. He's rightfully derided for all the.
I mean, if we're gonna start on that, as the queer person in the room, I can definitely speak on this a little bit. If you don't want to get into it, I can definitely make my statement up front here. I didn't read everything that he said, but it seems like the big quote that's surrounding him, it seems like after he retired, he went on a lot of college campus tours.
He kind of fancied himself as a Rush Limbaugh type.
The ultimate pundit.
Yeah.
And he said a lot of stupid shit about the victims of Hurricane Katrina and about Muslim people. And about Heath Ledger, weirdly enough, and he tried to
Brokeback Mountain.
He tried to tie that into a dig about Hulk Hogan, about Hulk Hogan wasn't strong enough to commit suicide because he's fucking his kids up. Just an absolute peach of a human being. But the big quote that I seem to see him circulating around the internet about his views on queer people was something to the tune of, if everyone on Earth was queer, there would be no people. We would stop, we would stop reproducing, and that's just science, Jack. And, speaking from the queer community, the last thing we want is for everyone on the planet to be queer. If everyone on the planet were queer, who would we mock?
There it is.
But it's
I knew it.
it's just this backwoods statement of just all if everyone on the planet were queer, there wouldn't be new babies. And it's Ultimate Warrior, that's why there's heterosexual people. That's why there's a menagerie of different fucking people on this planet. We don't want everyone to be like us. We just want acceptance. Yeah. We don't even need you to like us that much. We just want you to accept the fact that we exist and deserve to have lives.
And fucking mind your own business.
And also, shut up.
We just want to be left alone, and we're not here to cause any trouble. Jesus Christ.
Take that, you dead wrestler.
There you go. Well put, Kaz. So I'm not going to... I left that to you. But he's deserving of putting an eye on like the frankly wrong opinions that he has. He's a ridiculous person that deserves ridicule.
And also, just looking at it, like his appearance in the ring and everything like that, it does have to be say, he's kind of gay looking. A lot of hot pink, a lot of tassels. Anyway,
well, the tassels.
Please go on.
The tassels.
The tassels have a backstory.
They're not tassels. They are belief banners.
Oh my god!
All right. Listen. And with that, we're off to the races here. Okay, so Jim Hellwig.
I believe that's stupid. Sorry.
All right, Jim Hellwig. He was a professional bodybuilder, and a bunch of his buddies and him got into wrestling as a group. Began as a tag team partner, like under various names. Most notably, the Freedom Fighters, where he went under the name Rock. Not as in The Rock, but he was Rock.
Is that why he had to? Is that why Dwayne Johnson had to?
And his tag partner was Sting.
Okay, sorry. All right, sorry. I thought you were gonna say so. All right.
Yeah.
Sting.
Yeah, who still goes by Sting to this day. So he was a tag partner with Sting.
Has he legally changed his name to Sting?
I don't think so.
But when he's in church and he's praying to the Almighty God, he says, like, God, it's me, Sting.
Yeah. Later on, they, like, in lieu of the massive popularity of the tag partners in WWF, the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, of course, they wanted to sort of copy that, so he became the Dingo Warrior.
Should have stuck with that.
Well,
is he? He's American, yes?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not to generalize, but I'm almost positive he's American.
This is how little we care about this guy. We're not looking up basic facts about him.
All right. Even though all this is out in the open,
even though Jim Hellwig does sound like an Australian man.
And sounds like a pretty sweet wrestler name. Anyways, eventually they were absorbed into WWF. Vince McMahon famously said, "We want the Warrior, we don't want the Dingo." And also we have like a couple of guys already in the stable called the Road Warriors, and another guy whose nickname is the Modern Day Warrior, so you got to switch it up. And he was like, "I'm going to be the Ultimate Warrior." And I have to imagine Vince was just like, Fuck it, I'm not having this conversation. Go ahead.
He did the meme face.
Yeah.
He did. It's
Whoa,
what
the Ultimate
What if I
Warrior.
was the Ultimate Warrior? Oh!
Yeah. So, like I said, he was like an immensely popular guy. He was known for his high energy and electrifying performances and his trance-like promos where he would go into spouting off about like the cosmos and the phantoms that inspire the false prophets, and the moments in between are what set up the door to the next future of. And it's just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? In an era of like coked up, roided fueled insanity, he was the most coked up and roided and fused.
Wow. I like how he's getting mystical about it. I like how he's bringing in like alternate dimensions into it and stuff. Like that's a way to appeal to my demographic.
Yeah. So he was massively popular. Behind the scenes, he was not well liked for a multitude of reasons, among the things that you and I just talked about.
Everything I've read about this guy, any documentary, any Wikipedia article, there's at least one sentence that has something to say about the fact that no one liked this guy. No one enjoyed being around this man.
One thing that I don't think is touched upon enough is that he was not a very good wrestler at all. Mm-hmm. So, like, he
was an unsafe wrestler.
He was an unsafe wrestler. He was quite clumsy in the ring. A lot of his opponents had to really prop him up and like help him out during the matches. One of his things was, as you said, like sprinting to the ring, like just shaking the ropes like a madman. But like when the match actually started, he was already gassed. So he was well known for
shook those ropes too hard.
I mean, he was one of those bodybuilder types that did like no work on their cardio or worked on their stamina or anything like that. So he was known for having really short matches, which, you know, the typical Warrior match would be like maybe 3 minutes long. So it was like, oh, this guy's so incredible. He can pin a guy in like less than 5 minutes.
Doesn't make for great wrestling entertainment, though.
Well, I mean, that was just to cover the fact that he didn't really have a deep bench of skills, you know? So he did have a lot of successes. You know, he was the second person ever to body slam Andre the Giant. He beat Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 6 to become champion. Once he became champion, all of his flaws like almost became immediately apparent because he had to start doing longer matches. He had to start cutting like actual promos and stuff. He didn't have as many main event guys who could, you know, compete with him. And also they really felt that they made a mistake because he's just not a relatable character. Like, Hulk Hogan can go on talk shows and like interact in the real world and like pal around with kids. This guy's talking about fucking demons and like space gods and shit, right? There's like no into having him be the face of the company.
You may think he's unrelatable on the mic, but don't let that deter you. He's also bad at his job.
Exactly.
He's the whole package.
So within a year, Hulk Hogan was the champion again. They kind of realized their mistake, but they didn't want to admit that they had a wrong move with Ultimate Warrior. So they gave him Macho Man's retirement match, the loser leaves the company match, which is ostensibly how wrestlers retire.
Sure.
So he gets some notoriety there. However, at this time, merchandise sales are down. He's getting exposed as not that good of a wrestler. He's losing a lot of favor.
I will say one thing about the Ultimate Warrior. He makes a great action figure.
Yeah, well, he's like a comic book superhero come to life, right? But yeah, like he's just not the draw that they hope for. So what does he do? He asks for more money. He has a bunch of stipulations, culminating in almost backing out of an advertised...
I have a couple of stipulations. I'd like to wrestle even less if possible.
I have them written out here. So like it was... there was a trademark dispute. He wanted special traveling accommodations. He wanted 4 days off a week. He wanted like an extra payout, higher percentage of the merch sales. And this was days before like an agreed upon thing of SummerSlam. And Vince was like, fine, whatever. Just like show as advertised. We're going to lose ticket sales. He did. And as soon as that match was over, Vince suspended him. And Ultimate Warrior says, I refuse the suspension. I quit. But because he was still under contract, all the Ultimate Warrior imaging and icons and like the name or whatever were kept with WWF. So what does he do? He legally changes his name to Warrior.
That's the move.
That's the move. Yeah.
That's sort of a reverse Prince move there. Yeah. Whereas Prince didn't want the name to be used, so he legally changed his name to an impronounceable symbol.
Yep.
Warrior was just all like, I'm just gonna take this. It's also like how Paris Hilton tried to trademark the word hot. Yeah, she's all like, can I own that? Can I own the word hot?
Oh, just wait till I get into his, like, what he does between... Like, so he has, like... He's known as having 3 runs at WrestleMania. There was, when he first started, where it ends with him, like, beating Hulk Hogan, and then he leaves the company. He comes back for WrestleMania 8, and he's gone within a few months, because he's getting caught up in like a steroid scandal. Shock of shock, right? So
just him though, right? Yeah. No other wrestlers. He was the only.
Hogan was caught up.
He was the only one. They were all juicing.
All yeah.
All of them. Look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them.
But he comes back for WrestleMania 12. He's fired like a few months later after coming back because he's a no-show at all these house shows. He explained it away that he was grieving for his dying father.
Which, okay. Did they prove that wasn't the case?
By all accounts, he hadn't seen his father in like 15 or so years, and he openly hated him.
Wow.
So everyone's like calling bullshit on him already. There's other like famous stories. Like there are well-known instances of him just blowing off kids that want autographs. The most famous 2 examples are a young Ryan Gosling.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You didn't leave with that? What?
He's talked about that twice, how he idolized the Ultimate Warrior, went to get an autograph, and when he said, like, fuck off, he tore up his Ultimate Warrior poster.
Like, the Ultimate Warrior was my hero when I was a kid. It was the first poster I ever had on my wall. And I waited for him outside of the arena. And I took my poster, I asked him for his autograph. He said, not now, kid. And I was like, Ultimate Warrior.
And the other one was the kid, like the head of like some major affiliate. And so the head of the company went to Vince and said, I need you to record like an actual video apology of Ultimate Warrior apologizing to my kid. And you can see the behind the scenes footage of that and how unhappy Ultimate Warrior is about having to record it. That's...
Is that on you? Is that a YouTube for later?
That's a YouTube thing for later.
Okay, I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna bookmark that one because I would love to watch this guy try to choke through the concept of humility.
Yeah, they paid an exorbitant amount of money to bring him on to WCW, where he had a rematch with Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc, which was widely regarded as one of the worst matches in pro wrestling history.
What happened? Was he just not up to snuff, or...?
It was them trying to, like, recapture almost move for move their WrestleMania 6 matchup, but they're, like, 10 years older, 10 years slower, and I think, like, a pyro trick or whatever, like, just misfired or something, yeah.
And this is Hogan in his NWA era, yes?
Right, yeah.
This is Hollywood Hogan...
Yeah,
where he's the heel, so Ultimate Warrior is coming in as a good guy again, and just no one's buying it this time.
Nope, not at all.
Right.
And also, like, people were kind of sick of Ultimate Warrior by this time.
Now, at this point in time, this must be like 98, 99 or something like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That was around the era where the WCW NWO thing. happened, surely the hens were coming home to roost at a certain point. So like WCW is putting him out there as a hero. Surely by this point, all of the negative press about Ultimate Warrior is coming back, and it's coming to the people in the stands, and people are recognizing it. Why are they still pushing him as a babyface? Why aren't they leaning more into his unlikable personality?
Good question.
Because I'll tell you what.
You know what I think it is? I think it's because he had such a strong opinion of what he wanted Ultimate Warrior to be. He refused so many suggestions for storylines, even though he shouldn't have, but because he was almost like a pet project of Vince at the time, where it was like, we got to make this guy a good guy. Okay, well, I want a lot of say. You promised that I was going to be the next Hulk Hogan. Well, Hulk Hogan had like a toy line. He had a cartoon. He had all these things.
He had Pastamania, brother!
Exactly.
Ah!
So this is a good segue. So when I mentioned that there was...
Pastamania is always a good segue in any context.
Yeah, if only they were a sponsor.
I don't think we'd want that.
No.
That pasta has turned.
Yeah. All right, so I mentioned that there was a large gap between when he was on WrestleMania 8 and WrestleMania 12. During that time, he founds Warrior Creations. He imagined Ultimate Warrior as this cross-media figure. He wanted to have an empire of like movies, TV shows, cartoons, comic books, a wrestling school, whatever. One of the things that materialized of this, and I think is like the greatest window into how the man really thinks about his creation, is the comic book.
Oh, yes, you were telling me about this.
Yeah.
Yes, about this crazy thing.
Yeah, so he wrote every issue.
Oh, my God.
He had... Every issue also included a 2-page like wall of text spread called Warrior's Wisdom, where in the first issue he goes over the philosophy and the mythology behind everything.
Who was the publisher?
It was independently published.
It was independent, but it wasn't like a known independent publisher. It wasn't like
Dark Horse. No. It was all him.
It was his line.
It was his line. Yeah. The second issue's Warrior Wisdom was all about explaining some of the feedback that he got. Is like, no, you're not getting it. Like, let me break it down for you again. Like, I'm going somewhere with this.
None of you understand me.
The third issue ends with a... I gotta find my notes on this.
I'm just picturing him. Every time I hear like self-published thing, I think of like that scene in Straight Outta Compton where like Ice Cube is writing the screenplay for Friday on like an old like Apple II thing. I just imagine the Ultimate Warrior sitting down
Clickety clack,
clacking's all like, this is gonna be great. Everyone's gonna love this.
So issue 3 ends with this. Team Warrior is looking for artists who are up to more than just crayon pushing, pencil shoving, no good, what is this bullshit artwork?
So he pissed off the art. That was going to be my next question: is who drew this fucking thing?
Yeah.
And clearly someone who did not enjoy working with the Ultimate Warrior.
If you are wanting to show off the world just how fucking good you are, and for a fair price, while you're setting the record straight, we might be interested in seeing your stuff.
He actually wrote just how fucking good you are.
Yeah. Issue 4 famously is all in black and white because he doesn't have a colorist anymore.
I mean, hey, black and white comics have an audience, so maybe he's just like, I'm trying something. I'm going for like a John Romita style thing.
It is a 4-page Warrior Wisdom segment wall of text.
Oh God! It's getting bigger and bigger. It's getting bigger. The words of wisdom are getting bigger and bigger. They're becoming half the comic.
Simply titled, "Callahan is a piece of shit." Jim Callahan was his original artist from issues 1, 2, and 3.
So was that it? Were there 4 issues, or were there any more?
There was like a wordless 6th issue, which was just like failed covers or something.
Just
a collection, just to get it out the door.
Just all like, here's what we had left. Let's try and squeeze a few more cents out of this.
One thing that I want to get into about like sort of the context of the comics is just here's him like blending the lines a little of like what the Ultimate Warrior's philosophy.
Yeah, what was the plot of the comics? Is he like just like a superhero? Is he taking down gangs?
He's a superhero, and he's also sort of peeling the lid back a little on all the shit he's been saying over the years in character. So he kind of elaborates on like what the
mysticism stuff is coming back,
what the terrain of testament is, what distrucity means. Do you want to hear?
Please, but for my benefit and for the benefit of all of our listeners, please tell us what distrustity means.
All right. It is promising to stay true to one's reality, promising to stay true to what one is destined to be, yet accepting what is in the now in one's reality. In effect, it is the truce between one's destiny and one's reality. You got that?
But his grasp on reality seems tenuous at best.
Yep.
He's literally playing a fictional character.
There's
so
more.
what does reality mean? Oh God, we're
So-
not even done yet.
so
We're only on page 2.
If we're living the way of the warrior, you have to live the way of the warrior according to Warrior's 8 disciplines, which are physical, which means get fucking jacked, beliefs, which mean whatever, moment of mastery, which means like mastery of
It's the moment that you master something.
Yeah. Attitude, sure. Commitment, sure. Association with what? I don't know.
Just find the people in your life that you want to be with, and just like I'm associated with them.
Integrity and wisdom. That's it. Yeah.
It feels like he needed a little work on the latter two. Especially that second to last one, potentially there. Yeah. So it took the indie comic world by storm.
No,
we're still,
no, not at all.
We're still talking about it. He had a crossover with Cable. I don't know.
There was another example of like just him being a fucking maniac is WWE was having like an appearance at a con or something, right? And they, of course, were merchandising Ultimate Warrior stuff. He said, like, hey, that's infractioning on my IP that you guys, in fact, own. But tell you what, I won't sue for litigation if you buy 1 million copies of my comic.
They're in my garage.
Yeah.
I can have them. I can drop them off later today.
You know, like, I don't agree with Vince McMahon on much, but when it comes to butting heads with the Ultimate Warrior, I kind of take his side all the time.
Look, there's different levels of scumbag within like this larger story here. There's also plenty of wrestlers who are genuinely lovely people.
Sure,
but
yeah.
There's definitely like some real rotten to the core individuals within this industry.
Oh, absolutely.
As there are within pretty much any industry that you can find. But obviously, the things that we are asking of these people crossed with the amount of turning a blind eye to drug use and substance abuse
and physical abuse and sexual abuse
and just the just the world of like this like macho posturing violence based world and everything like that. It does kind of mess with people's brains a little bit sometimes, much like it would with any professional sport. So people like the Ultimate Warrior are bound to happen. And all we can do, once their career wraps up, either independently or because of death, in the case of Jim Hellwig, is look back on the legacy that they left and sort of... It does feel bad to mock someone who's not alive anymore, but he did give us like a lot of material to work with here.
I will say this. It seems like in his final days, he may have recanted a little bit. So, interesting fact, he died 3 days after he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Damn.
Part of the stipulation for him appearing at WrestleMania for that event was that he wanted them to create the True Warrior Award, which is in recognition of someone in production. So he wanted to sing the unsung heroes.
Oh, so that's actually pretty. That's pretty ideological. That's I like that. I like the idea of like shining a spotlight on someone behind the camera, the scenes. Yeah, that's great. Where was it the last action of someone who maybe realized he spent his entire life being a gigantic piece of shit?
Maybe.
And then in like the final years realized it's all like I actually need to do something.
Yeah, he was visited by the ghosts of Christmas yet to come or whatever.
He was visited by the ghost of Andre the Giant.
Yeah. And by all accounts, according to his daughters, he was just an adoring father.
I'm sure he had a nice side. Everyone does.
His daughters were class acts. The last thing that I want to mention here is there was a quote that he has in just like a passage in the comic here. A man's spirit will live forever if he faces his challenges without asking others to make sacrifices on his behalf. So it's more just like self-improvement, self-reliance. Don't rely on anybody else, which is bullshit coming from a guy who can't wrestle and had an entire production team prop him up.
Well, it seems like he got hit with a big old dose of humility in his final years, and that happens. That will probably happen to us all when we're looking down the barrel of the Grim Reaper. So Jim Hellwig, a complicated individual and a fine thespian. Look,
Hey, I think it played to his strengths.
I didn't even know that he was primarily a babyface before you just told me. Watching this movie, which we're now going to seg into talking about here, I will say that everything that I knew about him previous going into the movie definitely informed his performance, because he's a great bad guy.
Yeah.
He definitely succeeds in what he's attempting to do here. But much like
He answers the call of what is asked of him.
much like all of like the appearances that I had seen on the Mr. McMahon show and just around, I'm definitely going to have to like watch something where he speaks, because like the documentary stuff that I watched, he does not say a single word in this movie.
No.
Perhaps playing to his strengths.
Yeah, for the better.
The better.
Yeah, well, we'll watch that video where he's forced to apologize to a kid.
That'll be great.
Yeah, then you get to see both sides of him. You get to see the Ultimate Warrior and Jim Hellwig in contest with themselves, which was like an issue 2 of the comic book.
That'll be a nice aperitif to this episode. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's take a little break, and when we come back, we'll get some firepower. We're going into battle. We need lots of guns.
I'll see you in the Hell Zone.
Yeah. Oh. And we're back.
Sure.
1993's Firepower is directed by Richard Pepin. Richard Pepin is the co-founder of PM Entertainment Group Incorporated.
Okay, sounds real.
Here's what you need to know about Richard Pepin. The man has 88 credited credits.
Okay, all right. 88 credits.
88 credits. Yeah, he's a Dick Tracy villain. He's 88 credits. I was going to take that back, but you know what? No, it's staying in. He has 88 credits as a producer. I have scanned through the entire list. I do not recognize a single goddamn one of them. And my entire personality is man who know movie.
Yeah.
And Richard Pepin swung into this episode and said, "Aha! You weren't prepared for me, motherfucker."
It's like a break in reality and a look into an alternate timeline where there's like an entire multiverse of movies out there you can watch.
So look, I have the letterbox page open for all of his producer credits. Put your mind in a place where you're walking down like a video store in the 90s and it's still majority VHS covers, and you walk into like say like the action section and all you see are these film covers. Like, this is a treasure trove of absolute schlock. With like incredible titles, featuring mostly C-grade level actors, but every once in a while you get like a big name in there. His debut film as a director, he was mostly a producer, but he also served as a cinematographer and an editor.
Okay.
But he has 17 credits as a director, the first of which also came out in 1993. It is the film Fist of Honor.
Okay.
Starring Flash Gordon himself, Sam J. Jones, as the titular Fist Sullivan.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's pretty. I thought I should mention that. Abe Vigoda and Bubba Smith also in this movie. Some of the other
What are we waiting for?
Some of the other titles that I just like saying are Cyber Tracker, T-Force, Hologram Man.
Oh, I've seen that.
You've seen Hologram Man?
I've seen
You've
Hologram.
actually watched Hologram Man?
Yeah.
Y2K with Louis Gossett Jr. and Malcolm McDowell. Epicenter, Caved In, starring Christopher Atkins from the Pirate movie. Just like some amazing titles, and I was shocked and surprised that I hadn't even heard of a single one. You've clearly heard of one of them. You know more than me about this director.
Big fan.
Do you remember anything about Hologram Man that you want to pass on? And any single thing? I can see here that Tommy Lister Jr. was in it.
Jesus Christ. What? I think there was like one line from the trailer. It was like,
"Better luck next time, buddy."
But next time, he'll need more than luck.
I don't know, something stupid like like that.
It sounds pretty great, yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about the filmography of Richard Pepin is if you take a look at it on the IMDb, the one thing that they all share in common, basically all of them are on Tubi.
Oh, nice.
This guy's entire filmography is easily viewable.
Fantastic. This will be great for our purposes.
Now, normally we like to sum up the movie on our own terms, but before recording, both Jameson and I somewhat agreed that certain aspects of this movie might have been lost on us a little bit, so I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and I'm going to read the IMDb synopsis of this movie, because it actually sets the table really nicely, and it will be an easy way for us to refer to things that I won't be able to do based on my own notes.
Yeah.
Because this movie does kind of lose you in the first 20 minutes, so... In the year 2007,
the far-off future,
crime has risen at an exponential rate. Once highly populated metropolises such as Los Angeles are no longer inhabitable. These cities have transformed into hell zones, ruled by violent street gangs. The Hell Zone, formerly called the Zone of Personal Freedom, is a safe haven for criminal warpaths everywhere. This Hell Zone in LA is controlled by a criminal mastermind named Drexel. For the sake of entertaining his crowds of decadent losers and underlings, Drexel kind of judgy. Yeah. Drexel has staged a series of lethal, no-holds-barred matches in the Death Ring. By the way, Hellzone and Death Ring, superior titles for this movie.
Absolutely.
Firepower doesn't really come into it all that much.
No, it's a combat sport. It's a caged fighting movie.
Firepower implies that you have, like...
gunfire.
Yeah, a lot of guns,
yeah.
Or, like, one really powerful gun. This is a movie about a series of caged matches.
Yeah.
Firepower doesn't technically come into it. Drexel holds these in the Death Ring. The defeated one loses their self-respect, or maybe their heads. And from here, our story begins with two brave cops, Braniff and Sledge.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the two best buddies.
Yep.
Sledge is played by British martial artist Gary Daniels, who at the time it was sort of held the role that I would guess like Scott Adkins holds today, where he's like an action star, but really just on the home video market.
Okay.
He never had like a thing that broke him into the limelight. He's kind of like a Cynthia Rothrock type level here, or whatever. He did manage to sneak his way into the first Expendables movie.
Okay.
So I guess Stallone had like some respect for him. I believe he's like a lower level bad guy that they have to defeat at one point in time. But it's just like I'm getting all of the best action heroes together.
It's a who's who.
It's a who's who. It's all like Schwarzenegger. We got him for one scene. Van Damme. We can't get him till the sequel. But we got Eric Roberts and Gary Daniels. That's what we got here. And then Braniff is played by Chad McQueen.
Son of Steve McQueen. Yeah. You can't fucking tell.
Well, you can't tell in this movie, but what I will say is I did look him up on IMDb. He has become his father as he has gotten older. Like, here's a photo of him from 2015, looking very Steve McQueen-y.
Yeah.
I think he's dyed his hair blonde, and he's just sort of filled out, and now he, like, really looks like his dad.
Yeah.
But Chad McQueen was one of the bullies in the Karate Kid movies.
Okay.
If you remember that.
I think I read something about him on crack.com about how he's like a race car driver, or he retired.
Well, that makes sense. But his dad was a race car driver as well too. So I
followed his footsteps.
He followed in his dad's footsteps all the way around. Look, I am normally the type of person who is in the corner when you are bringing up the topic of Nepo babies. I don't really like that term. I think there are a lot of people who have benefited from nepotism who are actually quite talented, especially in like in the field of acting or whatever. Your Jack Quaid's or
your Colin Hanks.
Your Colin Hankses, your Dakota Johnsons or whatnot. I think all of them, they got like a step up from their famous parents, but that doesn't mean like they're bad at their job. This is really my first introduction to Chad McQueen. really don't care for him. I think he's genuinely pretty awful, and unfortunately, the movie is forcing us to accept him as the main character of the movie.
See, the issue that I have with this is that with our two leads here, it's a cage fighting tournament style movie. We got two leads, like co-leads on this. One sort of like an average schlubby guy, and then we have an actual martial artist.
Yes.
And the martial artist is not the one who survives the movie.
It's so crazy that Gary Daniels isn't the lead of this movie. He is so much. I mean, I'm not saying he's great or whatever. This was sort of my first introduction.
For this style of movie?
Of the two of them, yeah. You need to recognize which one of your two leads has the juice and make the movie about him. But unfortunately, this is a case where nepotism won out.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's like... It's a martial arts movie, and he's gonna have to have like a goofy sidekick to pal around with.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I think they were like, "Hey, I think I want to read for Braniff." Actually,
they got their wires crossed.
You do?
It is so funny that they're going into these cage matches, and Gary Daniels is just like has his shirt off, and he's just like yoked to high fucking heaven, and he's doing these crazy splits or whatever. And then Chad McQueen's like, "All right, I'm up next," and he has like that,
like a blue tank top on or whatever.
It's like that. It's like a wrestler thing where it's like a really low cut tank top or whatever, but it's all like, I can't show off my entire chest. No one can ever see me completely shirtless.
Yeah, I have no definition. I'm like 5'3", and what's his other name? Gary Daniels?
Gary Daniels.
Yes. He's like the best fighter in the movie.
Yeah, easily.
You showcase this guy off. This should have been like a starring vehicle for this guy, but no, he's the wacky ponytailed cop comedy relief.
Yeah, with no family.
Nothing to live for.
He's just here, and his name is Sledge or whatever. Yeah. All right, so we open
in the Hell Zone.
In the far-flung future of 2007. It was just like this.
Like getting like an exposition dump from one of the newscasters as our cops are in the diner watching TV.
I wrote down. I didn't write down exactly what this was saying, but this is like what I wrote down is, as an actor, what a gift. The actor who's playing this news reporter, because basically he just comes on and he just has like 2 to 3 minutes of pure exposition that's more or less setting up everything that I just said in the IMDb synopsis here. But like, as an actor, you have an audition for like this cheesy straight to VHS movie that's coming up here. You're just like a newsreader or whatever. If I were to get this monologue as an actor, that would be one of the greatest gifts imaginable, where you're just all like, the Hell Zone, where prostitution and drug abuse run rampant, and the Hell Drivers or whatever. And I'm just all like, man, this guy must have had a great fucking day. He must have
underlining certain words.
He must have sent his agent a bottle of scotch after that one. It's just all like, thank you. That's gonna go great on the reel. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So among the things that the newscaster mentions between like, reporting on the successful mission to Mars or whatever, is the resurgence of AIDS, which had been eradicated in 1997, but there is a rise of a phony vaccine for it now. So AIDS is back on the menu.
Now, here's the thing. 2 things about this. 2 things about this absolutely just like insane subplot of this movie or whatever. They're doing like this like future sci-fi aesthetic thing here.
Retrofuturism, that I love so much.
Rather than come up with like a fake disease or something, or like a fake contagion that they have to like come up with like a thing for, it's just AIDS. It's just flat out AIDS.
A hot button issue from 93 that they thought would have been eradicated in like 15 or so years.
In 93, still very much like a huge deal and like a national tragedy, a worldwide tragedy that we're still feeling the repercussions for. But it's just like, within like the first 5 minutes of this movie, we're seeing like a lady newscaster on TV, and behind her there's just a big graphic that just says AIDS. And it's really not the escapist entertainment that it's going for here or whatever. Now, I was under the assumption that it was, like you said, a phony AIDS vaccine, but I rewatched like 10 minutes of the movie earlier today, and I read another synopsis on Wikipedia. It seems that it is, in fact, a counterfeit AIDS vaccine.
Okay.
So it's not the fact that it's a fake vaccine for the AIDS virus. It's that it's not regulated by the government. And so my question is, leave it alone. Like if it cures AIDS, fucking let it get out there. Are you kidding me?
They got to turn a profit.
The people in the Hell Zone are doing your job for you. They found the cure for AIDS, which we see a vial of it, and it basically just looks like Monster Energy drink.
Yeah.
Because it's just like green.
Yeah, made in like a kid's science kit lab over there.
But it's like, like the problem isn't that.
Well, it's like
it's giving people false hope. The problem is like the government isn't earning their cut.
Well, it's a lawless zone, so the government has no true presence there, so they got to fend for themselves. We
got to stomp down this cure for like one of the worst epidemics in human history.
That's right.
And that's ostensibly what our heroes are trying to do. They're trying to break up this counterfeit AIDS vaccine ring.
I think there's more of what they're trying to do. I'll get into it in a sec.
Sure.
Anyways, the cops are called on an APB for chasing down these two criminals.
On a bar reader 400,
yes,
I pointed out. Just like this great shitty technology.
I mean,
speaking of WrestleMania, the movie that this reminded me the most of was
The Shepherd.
It was The Shepherd, the first movie that we ever covered, because it's just like a lot of like, we have $50 in our budget or whatever. What can we retrofit to look like it comes from the future?
Yeah, well, let's see. We got some string lights. We got like 3 TVs we can stack on each other. We can put like 6 blinking lights on a handgun.
That's how you know it's the future. It's not like a future TV. It's just 3 TVs on top of each other. That was so pointless.
Yeah, I mean, like at one point he shoots one of the crooks and he's like, "Thank God for smart bullets."
Yeah,
because the guy's
Great line of dialogue there. Yeah. Well, because he fires a gun at someone, but he's not even aiming at them, but the guy still gets shot anyway. So I guess like this is the implication that like all bullets are like JFK magic bullets in the future or whatever. They or they're the Roger Rabbit bullets. It's just like, well, howdy, Sledge, how's it going?
So they hop into their police minivans and they chase down these 2 crooks, Menendez and the swordsman, and they
who are in this incredible zebra-colored
printed car
here. Yeah, that's how you know. And there's like this long sequence where the cops are chasing the zebra car through this very wet, very phallic tunnel. I don't know what's going on here, but it's just like they just like grabbed a hose and sprayed this thing down before we went in here, because it's just like
probably explains why they're like swerving so much in there. It's like no traction.
It's actually a cool image. Like every once in this while, this movie stumbles face first into kind of a cool noir-y futuristic image, and this kind of with like the police lights reflecting off of the tunnel. This wasn't too bad.
Like the deep reds and blue like lighting on everything. We've seen way worse YouTube rips.
Absolutely.
This movie actually looked pretty fucking good. The zebra car crashes into a barricade and does like this awesome flip in a shot where the fucking budget went.
Look,
it's a really good explosion.
Within the first 10 minutes of this movie, you do see the most impressive thing in the entire movie, which is 2 cars going off of a ramp through another car that's already on fire, and both of them just flip through the air and they just explode. And look, no shade towards this movie's low budget, towards the filmmaking or the acting or anything like that. This moment fucking rules.
Yeah.
It was a great fucking moment.
Yeah.
And like, it was a practical stunt.
Yeah.
And obviously, they film it from, they do the thing where it like goes off the ramp and explodes, and then they shoot it from a different angle.
3 different angles.
Because when you put that much money into that scene, you get your money's worth out of it.
The problem with one of the angles is that from where the camera was positioned, you could absolutely see that car could have just like veered a little to the left and avoided the barricade. But anyways,
they're hoping that you don't. They're hoping that you're not that eagle-eyed.
Yeah. So they book the Menendez character at the police precinct.
Who manages to survive his car flipping through the air and exploding.
Yeah.
It was amazing how after that happened, Menendez and the other guy just crawl out of the car and start firing at the cops and like, they survived that? Because the other car definitely explodes, right?
They were wearing their seatbelts.
They were
their future seatbelts.
Take that. Remember, thank God for smart seatbelts.
So they're at their precinct. They're getting booked. All the criminals have like barcodes on their wrists or something.
I love when they scan Menendez's
his headshot is him already in prison.
Yeah, I guess they just don't waste time. They don't bother to take him to booking in the future. They're just like, well, they're already behind bars. We'll just get a photo here now.
I think it was the opposite. They forgot to do it when they first booked him the last time. So they just grabbed a quick Polaroid of him. And also brought in, I guess, on an unrelated bust or whatever, is the subject of this early part of the episode. It's the swordsman, played by the Ultimate Warrior.
It's interesting. We actually don't see the swordsman get captured. His introduction is he's already been captured by cops.
Yep.
And yes, it's Jim Hellwig, more or less just playing the Ultimate Warrior, except without the accoutrement or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just in...
Or spouting off anything.
He has no dialogue.
Yeah.
He has absolutely... He's just grunting the entire movie. But yeah, two cops have him in restraints, but it doesn't last very long because he breaks free and he has a big old wrestling match
He wrestles two cops in the hallway. He's eventually subdued with like a green cattle prod or something.
That's a green net gun, which you have.
Which is a standard issue in the future.
We meet a couple of other characters here that are going to be mildly important. We meet the captain, the police captain. The costuming for this guy was very confusing.
He looked like a priest.
He looked like a priest because he's not wearing a priest's collar, but he's dressed entirely in black, and he has like a brooch or something, or
some kind of small medallion,
medallion or a pin, but it's right where a priest's collar would be,
right on the collarbone. Yeah, and it's not quite gold and it's not quite white, but it does look like a priest collar.
It gives the impression of he's a man of the cloth, but no, he's like the salty police captain or whatever.
And get some sleep. You both look like a piece of fried shit.
We meet Booth, who is a lady cop who it is implied that she has a bit of a flirtation going on with Sledge. But Sledge says, I don't dip that. Sorry, Otto, dip that pen in the company ink, mate. What? I do I love this era of. The only other guy who's doing it right now is Jason Statham, and we've just entered into this era of just Jason Statham is like an all-American guy that no one ever questions why he sounds like that.
Yeah.
And Gary Daniels was doing that before Statham was doing that, because he's just here.
Yeah.
And
I decided that I was going to come to the States and join the
absolutely,
LAPD.
we don't need any backup, follow-up explanation as to why he's here. He just moved.
Yeah.
And
All-American cop I am.
Absolutely. Hamburgers and French fries.
I like to join the bobbies. Did you happen to notice that when they were showing off the rap sheet of the swordsman?
Oh, it keeps going.
It just keeps going. It's like a never-ending rap sheet. I noticed that assassination is spelt wrong.
Well, look, the budget for the LAPD has suffered significantly here. I think about the future. Precinct in RoboCop and how everything is falling apart, and they need all their light fixtures fixed or whatever and stuff. This police precinct isn't doing any better.
No,
but to be fair, they have to put up with the Hell Zone. They have a lot. They got a lot of other shit going on right now. So
speaking of which, the Hell Zone comes to them because there's a jailbreak. There's a beeping truck that crashes through a barricade, and a bunch of the future crumb bums storm in. There's a guy and
I got really excited at this point because I'm like, oh, is this movie going to be like a take on John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13, where they're just they have the swordsman and they're trying to keep him away from his gang, and the gang is just trying to break in and get it, and it is for 5 minutes, and then it stops being that.
Pretty much,
because the Hell Zone. Well, what's the name of the gang in the Hell Zone?
The Hell Riders.
The Hell Riders.
Yeah.
The Hell Riders come in and they murder everyone. They murder poor sweet Booth.
They do.
Who just doesn't have
she was shell shocked or something. She had ample opportunity to crawl away.
It is an unfortunate this useless lady cop, she can't grab a gun and defend herself or anything. It is quite sad. You think that Sledge is gonna have a moment where he's all this is for Booth, but it actually never kind of comes to anything. Yeah. But they kill her, they kill the desk sergeant, they kill all of our friends.
Except for the captain.
Except the captain. The captain survives.
I love how they bust the swordsman out of jail.
You know what? I take it back. He has a single line of dialogue.
Oh yeah, he says get me out of here.
He says get me out of here. He says get me the fuck out of here or something.
Get me out. No!
Other than that, he has nothing else to. I just remember he does in fact say that.
Took fucking 90 takes to get that right. And during all that time, he had to just you gotta get me out of here, the spirits and the destrucity.
No ad-libbing, please.
But yeah, I love how they busted him out of there because the lock on it is like a palm print thing.
Yeah.
And so there's a nearby guy who's who's shot dead, and then another guy goes up to him and point blank with a shotgun shoots his fucking hand off.
Which, there's no other way that they could have captured that in a film other than building a fake hand and actually shooting it off with a shotgun. Pretty gnarly. I'm not gonna lie. Looked cool. It was a good effect.
Yeah.
For like zero budget, it actually was a good effect.
But that hand should be like fucking smithereens.
It should, yeah. But all they need is like a couple of fingerprints. But
Yeah,
they get him out and they leave Menendez behind. Because fuck Menendez.
So the police give chase. There's like a nice chase scene on the highway overpass where they're getting assistance from the police helicopter, who's very low flying in a very Terminator 2-esque
Which
reminded
again
scene.
is something that they just had to do. There's no way to fake that sort of thing.
So impressive enough.
It is.
And then that police helicopter is blown up by a laser.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's like a weird dichotomy of impressive cinematography and stunt work action, because it is two cars chasing each other, and then behind them a helicopter is swerving in and out of camera, and you can tell there's actual people inside there. Well, obviously there's people inside the helicopter because someone has to be flying the helicopter, but there's like stuntmen and there's like stunt work and whatever, and then you cut to like the one goon hanging out of the criminal car pointing the laser gun at and it looks like it was filmed on fucking wax paper. Like, it looks really terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like clearly they had the budget here. They didn't really have the budget here. It's refreshing watching something like this. A movie that just got released that I watched recently that I thought was okay but had some major problems was Netflix just came out with a movie called Havoc.
Yeah.
With Tom Hardy. And it's from the director of The Raid. That's why I watched it, because I love The Raid. The Raid's an incredible action movie that's all like choreography and practical stunts and everything. And Havoc was mostly okay. It had some good fight scenes, but the thing that really pissed me off about it is anytime there's an exterior, anytime there's a shot of two cars chasing or anything to do in a vehicle whatsoever, it is purely Netflix green screen CGI.
Yeah.
There's not a single shot of a car driving down a road in that movie. And it really irritated me because we've just gotten to this point. Because, like, a Netflix movie is sort of inhabiting the same era as like these straight to VHS movies from the 90s or whatever, but they're undercutting their costs by just saying, we'll just create this on a computer. And it looks like a cartoon. It looks stupid, and it takes you out of the movie. And it's just like, I know that stunt performing is hard. I know that people lose their lives or whatever, but just film a practical stunt, for fuck's sakes.
A chase sequence is a lost art.
It really is. Yeah. Anyway,
All
that's
right,
that's just my rant about that. It's just like, film a car every once in a while. That's what I have to say.
All right, so the crooks manage to get into the hell zone. Our two hero cops follow them in there, even though it's out of their jurisdiction. They just figure, fuck it, we'll go in there.
Yeah, the rules about the hell zone are kind of
there's
a little loose, a little lapsed or whatever.
I mean, it's an unprotected border of anything. It's just like
But
an imaginary line.
They also play by their own rules.
Yeah.
R2, Sledge and the other guy. Sledge and McQueen.
Yes.
I refuse because his name is like Brandon or something. So I'm just Braniff. So I'm just gonna call him McQueen the entire time because it's
which is a better
it is a better name,
better character name,
It
anyways.
is.
Almost immediately in the hell zone, they roll up to the death ring, like this. In the middle of the hell zone, there's flaming cars, perpetual flaming cars in front of this place.
Well, it's the future, so you have something has to perpetually be on fire.
Right. Yeah.
There's a trash can fire right out of view.
Right.
Over here.
Yeah. And it's full of hobos and prostitutes and everything.
Now, I was really concerned when they walked into this club, because the two of them go up there and they are immediately met by a transgender prostitute. And as soon as that happened, I'm like,
here we go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. To this movie's credit, everything that they say to this lady is 100% just like business. And McQueen even refers to her as cowgirl.
Yeah.
Says like, don't worry about it, cowgirl. So it's like, that's weirdly progressive for 1993.
Yeah.
So I will give the movie that one little gold star.
Yeah.
Is that could have been much worse. Yeah.
All right. So they're going through the death ring. They're, mingling around all the scumbags that call that place home. One person immediately recognizes them as cops because they're still dressed in their tactical gear and helmets.
We see one guy come into frame, and he has like a big face tattoo that, again, is kind of zebra print. And as soon as I saw that, I'm all like, I bet that guy owned that car. I bet Menendez borrowed his car, and he's mad because they wrecked his car. Because he has his face tattoo matches the car that they were driving earlier. Okay, this is the part of the movie that really confused me. When Jameson showed up at my apartment today, I was watching the movie because I was trying to make sense of this point. So they're going around. They're in their full tactical gear. They have their...
It looks like something out of laser tag from when we were kids.
It absolutely does. Well, they have their visors down. And I guess like this is a way of like protecting their identity or whatever.
Sure.
Like, they're going through this club. They're obviously cops. They're not conspicuous at all. And then these two scumbums come out of nowhere and they're all like, "Hey, cops, we don't like your kind in here," or whatever. And then one of them shoots Sledge.
Yep.
And then McQueen immediately responds by shooting both of them. And then I'm all like, "Oh my God, they shot Sledge and he's down on the ground." And then everyone gets up.
Yep.
And then McQueen goes like, I wish we could do that in real life. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? What's the implication here? Because for a moment, I thought, it's like, are we in VR or something? Because I didn't see that happen. I thought they were all physically here or whatever. So is there just like this unspoken thing where it's like, if you go into a building, you have to use like, you have to switch to like non-lethal rounds or something? Because like, all three of these characters got shot and then they all got up like nothing happened.
So what's his name? Gary
Daniels. Yeah.
So he gets shot in the back, but he's wearing bulletproof armor.
Is that just the explanation? Did they just shot him in the bulletproof armor?
Yeah, shot him in the back. Like he took the impact. He went down, but he's fine. And then when McQueen shoots the guy, he doesn't shoot him in like the chest. He shoots the gun out of his hand.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, did you not catch that?
No, man.
Okay.
I was just watching the movie and this just completely went over my head. Like, I thought, because we're just introduced to all of like this future sci-fi bullshit so quickly. I'm just all like, did I miss something? Is there like a future gun scenario going on
Well, they
here?
have smart bullets.
I know, it's already been established that they have smart bullets, but I thought
they're
the smart
set to either
bullets...
stun or kill.
Okay, yeah.
One thing that I noticed almost right away with them going through this club, though, is that there is a brothel section of it. And of course, the prostitutes are pitch and woo or whatever at these two guys. And, McQueen's just like, "Hey, we're on duty." And, Gary Daniels is like, "Oh, maybe I'll rain check, ladies." And I'm starting to think like, they're both remarking, "Man, maybe we should come back here undercover." And I'm starting to think, what are they really coming back here for?
What's the plot of this movie?
I know they're following the swordsman, but I don't think they quite know that he's a combat fighter yet. They see that there's cage fighting going on.
I think they have to, because this is the other thing, because we're introduced to sort of like the female lead of this movie here, Lisa.
Right.
Who is introduced going around to tables, taking bets on the cage fighting in the hell cage.
Yeah.
Everything's called hell something here. Or whatever.
Hell cage, hell riders, hell zone, hell wig.
And they that should have been the tagline for the VHS. I would have bought it.
Yeah.
And they go up to Lisa, and McQueen just straight up says, like, "We're looking for someone called the Swordsman. Did he come through here?" And even at this point, I'm all like, he's the most famous person in the Hell Zone.
Yeah.
He's like the top.
There should be posters of him everywhere, right?
He's like Sagat. He's like the end boss or like whatever. Yeah, he's like the #1 cage fighter or whatever. And so the cheek to just go up to somebody and just say, like, "We're looking for someone called the Swordsman." It's just like, "Oh yeah, the most famous person in the Hell Zone." Yeah. No, I ain't talking to cops or whatever. But it's like, of course he came through. This is where he lives.
Right. So they go back to the police captain and say, like, "Hey, we want to go undercover. We want to go back to the Hell Zone." And the police chief is against it, but he says, "Okay." And
It happens that quickly.
It really does happen that quickly.
Yeah.
The night before this happens, McQueen is back at his apartment.
We learn so late into this runtime that McQueen has a wife and child.
Yep.
Like, it's like 25 minutes into this movie that we find out he has like an entire personal life that we're just finding out about.
Well, I think the captain even drops the line like, "I'm not sending you in undercover. You got a family, McQueen. No one's going to care what happens to Gary Daniels."
No one gives a shit about Sledge.
He's like a swinging bachelor. But McQueen...
And it cuts to Gary Daniels. He's just like, "Haha, that's true.
That's me.
No one loves me. It's fine. I'm Sledge."
Yeah. Send me back into the Hell Zone so I can take a run at one of those hookers. But yeah, the wife is there, and it's just that old hat of like, you're married to the job, and like you're not here for us and the family, and it's too dangerous for you. He's like, you knew this about me when you married me, and all that
and
crap.
this is again, this is like maybe like barely half an hour into this movie, but this is the part of the movie where I genuinely started to hate Chad McQueen. What's
McQueen.
Braniff.
Yeah,
Braniff. Yeah, I genuinely started hating this guy because he's terrible to his wife.
Yeah.
Like he's just like at his apartment building. He's not spending any time with like his family or anything. He's just hitting the punching bag because he's got to get all that like aggro stuff out. And she comes in, is all like, "You're going undercover into like an illegal fighting ring," and it's all like, "Oh, you're missing Billy's
play or the big game,
future ball game."
No, wait, what do they call it? Like a social evaluation?
Yeah. Or something crazy like
yeah,
that.
like, I think I'd probably want to miss something like that.
About Billy's social evaluation. Did you get time off for that?
I can't make it.
But
Really
he's
creepy.
just all like, "It's my job,
Yeah.
Mary."
Yeah.
Like, what do you get the fuck out? He actually kind of like shoves her at one point. Like, he's
Yep.
not a good person.
There's even a moment later on in the movie where he is doing some bonding with his kid. Like they're playing Super Nintendo.
They're playing Super Nintendo.
And it's like some weird vector card game that never existed for the Super Nintendo.
No,
but
it's that classic thing where they have like a recognizable video game controller, but like the sound effects of the video game that they are playing are clearly from like the Atari era or whatever, because it's like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's playing the game with his kid, and here comes the wife, full of hate and vitriol again, saying that you're covered in bruises and like we never see you,
Which
and we're
honestly,
dangerous.
I didn't even notice until she
No.
pointed it out. It's
Yeah.
all like, "Oh, he's bonding with his kid," and she's all like, "Look at you, you piece of shit! You come in here and your shirt's all dirty or whatever." And then like at that point,
And he's
I'm all like,
like-
"Oh yeah, I guess he does have a bruise on his face, doesn't he? I didn't even notice
And
that."
McQueen's just like, get me fucking back into the hell zone.
Get me away from this harpy.
Yes.
Oh my god. She wants me to spend time with her and like raise my son. Doesn't she know I'm this close to breaking up the hell zone? Yeah.
All right, so
And Sledge is just along for the ride.
he's just, he's having his best life. So yeah, they go on undercover as cage fighters, and they're starting at the bottom of the bracket and everything. We learn from like the one trainer that's like sort of shepherding them around the place that there are 3 rules for fighters, which is don't lose before the buzzer sounds, stay on your feet, loser gets half pay, and if you get 5 wins, you move up a rank. And when you move up to the highest rank, all the combats are lethal fights.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you get into like the top echelon of fighting, yes, it starts introducing this fight to the death aspect, and all of the fighters get cute little nicknames,
Yep.
and they're all the something,
well,
or
there's-
they're all just like single name things, and we actually see the genesis of their fighting names, of their cage names or whatever, even though his name is literally Sledge.
Yeah.
I just I'm like, my name is literally Sledge. Can I just go by that?
No,
But
that's too on the nose. We'll go with Hammer.
Well, he says he comes up with that himself. He says like, "I want to be the Hammer."
Yeah.
And then before McQueen is able to get something out, he says like, he's the pussycat. And then I guess like this major domo for the fight thing says it over. It's all
like,
like,
nah, too sissy. How about the alley cat?
and then McQueen just goes like, "Yeah, fuck whatever." It's just like, really?
The alley-
You want to stick with the alley cat? You can be just be clear. You can be named literally anything. You don't need to go with the alley cat just because this guy offered it up.
Yeah.
You can say any
Yep.
cool name that you want.
How about Wildcat? Yeah.
Or anything not to do with cat whatsoever. But McQueen's just so checked out. He's just all
Sure,
like,
yeah.
I don't really give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah, alley
I don't
cat
care. Call
work-
me whatever.
Have you seen me without a shirt on? Alley Cat works well for me. Yeah, and the other fighters are named, well, there's Hammer, Alley Cat, Viper, Swordsman, and then we have Psycho, Maniac, Dr. Death, Tumor, Snake, Slasher, Banger, and Flaps.
And the way they cut to flaps. They cut
So yeah,
That
maybe
is
maybe,
funny,
maybe
yeah.
that's just like one rung below Alley Cat.
they have like this graphic that they made up that they keep cutting to where
Oh,
it's
right out of Mortal Kombat 1.
where it's all like the fighters' names or whatever. I actually didn't realize until just now that Dr. Death and Tumor were 2 different people, because the way that it shows like the character names, I thought it was a fighter whose name was Dr. Death Tumor. I'm learning now
Yeah.
that actually does make more sense. Yes. So the Hammer is fighting. His first fight is against someone from the Mystic Orient, which is always a good sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just like your standard martial arts tournament in a future movie. The walls of the cage are electrified, and random times during the fights,
It seems like there's a midway introduction. So, like, the first half of the fight is just bare knuckle fighting or martial arts or whatever the fighter has to have. And then midway through,
they unlock randomly assigned weapons. Well, random.
yes,
but like,
they tell everyone that it's a computer system, and the computer randomly assigns 2 weapons mid-match to each fighter. But every time we cut to the control room, and it's a nerd at a computer, and
nerdlinger there
yes,
is
we've mentioned him earlier, but the villain of this movie is an old man named Drexel, who's running the ring or whatever. We take it that Lisa, the betting girl from earlier, is kind of his girlfriend or whatever.
His mall or whatever.
But like, he's the one that's pulling all the strings. He's deciding who gets what weapon.
Yeah.
And sometimes
who advances,
Sometimes it looks like the weapon has been unlocked, but then secretly Drexel's all like, actually lock that shit back up again, and they can't pull it off.
Yeah, and then that's their death sentence.
And like the weapons range from like a bow staff to like
swords,
scythes to like a katana or whatever, you know. So it's like one fighter can get the advantage over having like the better weapon over them or whatnot. And that's how generally the fights go.
Yeah.
At some point in time, the swordsman returns.
Yes.
And the swordsman has a fight. And I thought this was interesting because the swordsman goes up against like an old Asian kung fu master.
Oh, not just any old Asian kung fu master.
Oh, what's his name?
Gerald Nakamura from Hollywood Cop. And
you're talking about the actual guy. All right.
He's a B-movie legend, this guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember what his fighter name was?
No.
No, all right, fair enough. Well,
he's from the mysterious Far East.
Well, there we go. I'll put some respect on the man's name here. But I think it's the only time in recorded history where you see an old, wizened Asian kung fu master go up against a big, beefy bully type. And the old Asian man loses. Yeah. Usually when you see that, the cliche is that the old man wipes the floor with the guy because he has like the power of kung fu against him. Yeah. But no, the Ultimate Warrior fucking murders this dude.
That's right.
And he like stabs him with a sword. We haven't yet mentioned this movie's MVP, which is the announcer.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is great. This guy is all over this fucking movie.
Yep.
He's an actor named Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
Yep.
He's never seen. It's a purely voice-only performance, but he's great. He just provides color commentary throughout this entire movie, and
he's quick on his feet every time there's a new development.
He's great. It's like he's the announcer from Ready to Rumble boxing or whatever. He has all this thing. And then the swordsman gets a katana, stabs it through the heart of this old man, and the announcer is just going like,
well, the professor won't be teaching any more sword fighting classes now, will he? Here is your winner, the Swordsman.
and it's just like, it would have been so funny if there were like 2 announcers, and the guy's just all like, oh, he won't be getting up after that, folks.
You got that right, Jacob.
Or the other guy's just all like, a man is dead. Like the other man is just like no nonsense whatsoever.
Right. So one of my issues with this movie is they mentioned that if you win 5 fights, you move up in the rank. And we have our 2 principal cop fighters and another fighter who's kind of showing
Viper, played by Art Camacho, who is another sort of like B-movie legend, who also was the fight choreographer for this movie.
How about that?
Yeah.
So we have 3 principal good guy fighters, and we see practically all 5 of their matches. There's way too much kung fu fighting in this movie.
A sentence that I never thought I would ever hear.
I never thought I'd hear it from myself either.
Well, you wanted more plot? You wanted more of this great plot and performances that we got through this?
Maybe.
Because like the second half of this movie is basically wall-to-wall fighting.
Because like
it's Street Fighter basically is what it is.
On paper, I should love this fucking movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like it's, some of my favorite aesthetics, retro, post-apocalyptic future. It's a cage fighting tournament movie. There's a wrestler in it. Like it's kind of tailor-made for me, but like It starts to lose me a little bit more when you see like back-to-back fighting, especially when the principal character is not that good of a fighter.
And we have like his buddy who is like an interesting fighter who commands the camera in a way that the actual lead of the movie isn't, and we kind of don't focus on him enough.
Yeah, right.
Like this was like my Letterboxd review for the movie is like this is a movie that gives us Gary Daniels, Art Camacho, and the Ultimate Warrior, and then forces us to have Chad McQueen be the lead character of this movie. And yeah, that's overall like its biggest fault. Also, you know, like we have like this cage fight aesthetic for the second half of this movie. It's not elaborate enough. It's not colorful enough. We're meant to be in like the far-flung future, and all of the opponents that they go up against are kind of just guys.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like dudes in like regular clothing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really like stand out about any of them.
There's one featured extra in like one of the introductory scenes where he has like a Kano mask, and I'm thinking to myself, where are the rest of the cybernetically enhanced people in this, you know, far off distant future of 2007? There should be like someone with like a robot arm or something.
It's a really dumb mask. It's not even it's like a ghost face mask where he has like a hood, but then
that's another guy.
But then the dude is just shirtless.
Yeah.
And he goes up against Viper, and Viper ends up winning, but it's like for the first half of that fight, Mask Dude is wiping the floor with Viper. I'm just all like, this guy couldn't see shit. This guy can't, his field of vision is completely fucked with this thing on or whatever. But yeah, like the opponents just aren't colorful enough. There's one guy that I wrote down that I called Shitty Craven, because he kind of has like
the vest or whatever.
He has like the vest. It's not like a lion face or anything like that, but yeah, he has like a weird sort of like jungle aesthetic vest going on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the rest of the guys are just like uninteresting whatevers who don't really have like a lot of like
personality or whatever,
flair or anything like that. You know, maybe I was expecting too much from this movie. Yeah, but I guess I just clearly was. So they kind of befriend Viper.
Yeah,
who's like the one they like the eye patch guy from earlier says like, make friends, but don't get too close because you might be fighting them one day.
So Viper has like a massive target on his back.
Yeah. So we talk to Viper, and Viper's just like, I'm just doing this to make money for my family or whatever. And he seems like an all right guy. He's befriending the other two guys.
He puts two and two together that like there's something different about you two. It doesn't seem like you're in it for the money or for the glory. Like, hey, are you investigating Drexel and all his shenanigans? And I guess, you know, somehow Drexel gets wind of that, so they escalate a fight between Viper and the Swordsman, where they deny Viper a weapon, and Swordsman cuts his head off.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh wait, no,
he doesn't. That's a spoiler for later.
Yeah.
I think he just
kills him. Yeah.
He just kills him. But they have like a thing where Viper has been trying to work his way up to the deathmatch fights, and they just say, "Oh no!" You know what happens is he gets a match against a different person, and then the Swordsman just shows up.
Yeah.
The Swordsman just like enters the ring like it's a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Which is funny because Ultimate Warrior was kind of notorious for backing out of matches and not showing up. And they have to do a last minute replacement.
That's why this is a fiction.
That's right.
Jameson. But yeah, I think if Viper was put in a situation where it's all like, guess what, you're going up against the Swordsman, he might have a few questions, but because they frame it as a way, it's all like, we're giving you a title match.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that he's fighting the Swordsman. That's how they end up getting him. They start. What happens is after McQueen's first fight, which is it's so funny because Sledge has his fight. Sorry, Hammer has his fight first, and he goes in there and he's Gary Daniels and he's fucking incredible and he's doing front flips
and he's loving it.
He's loving it.
He's showboating for the crowd.
The camera loves him. Yep. This is Gary Daniels in his element, and he comes in and he's just absolutely yoked and he's mopping the floor with him. And then Chad McQueen comes in. They have like this thing where it's like all the newcomers have to wear like this blue vest or whatever, and Gary Daniels is just all like, I ain't wearing that shit, fuck off. And McQueen's just all like, I guess I'll put this on. And he walks in and everyone starts booing him, and he literally goes, hey, it's my first time, okay?
Yeah.
And it's just all like, this is our hero.
This is the guy I'm supposed to be rooting for.
Yeah.
And even during one of his fights, they cross-cut other bits of the fight montage with just Gary Daniels doing the splits and doing his kata or whatever.
Well, I'm going to come back to that because they do that for a very specific reason. But after McQueen loses the fight. Drexel comes down from above, and he says, "You're very good with a stick. Almost too good with a stick. Almost as if you've used a stick before."
A nightstick, perhaps.
Yes,
a policeman's baton.
Implying that only a policeman would know how to work a baton. But I'm just all like, you're running like a cage fighting tournament, Drexel.
You offer a baton as a weapon.
I kind of feel like anyone who's like familiar with using like close combat weapon fighting would also know how to use a stick. I feel like that's just something people would know.
You're a little too good with this one weapon. Also, I have a fighter named the Swordsman.
Yes. I mean, he's correct in the sense that he was able to correctly identify them as policemen, but also he does it in a very roundabout sort of way that doesn't really make much sense. But anyway.
So after the Viper dies, McQueen is, a little sullen that he, like a good man, is now dead. He has like a little heart-to-heart with Lisa, which is very heavily implied to like, man, he's really looking to step out on his wife.
Like, here's like the crazy thing is like, every scene with like this. Well, he has a moment where because they identify Lisa as like someone who will help them get to the Swordsman, who help them get to Drexel and bring this whole thing down or whatever. And there's like a quiet moment where like Lisa's outside smoking a cigarette, and McQueen shows up, and she's just like, "I just come out here to think, be alone." And then McQueen immediately just like steamrolls past that, just let me join you or
let's
whatever.
Be alone together, yeah.
And
that the border to the Hell Zone is just 4 blocks away.
He does mention that he has a wife and kid, and that he doesn't have like designs on her or anything like that. Methinks he does protest a bit too much. Yeah. But he's just trying to befriend Lisa and get her to safety, but also like get information.
But also laying down some groundwork.
Yeah.
Something might happen to the wife, and if it does, I got a backup right here.
It's just enough so that Drexel can catch them on camera later, and see Lisa give him a little peck on the cheek, and immediately he's just all like, "Revenge!"
All right, so later on, I guess Menendez is intercepted in like some prison transfer or what have you.
Menendez manages to escape from prison or whatever, and he finds his way back to Drexel, and now he's back here and everything. And
he's able to tell him that like, hey, these 2 new fighters of yours, they're the cops that busted me. They're undercover. We got to do something about it.
So we cut back to McQueen's apartment, and his wife is on the phone with her mother, and she says, How is Bobby enjoying it over there, Mom? Is he having a great time? Is he enjoying his time over there? And as soon as this line of dialogue happened, I'm immediately
this woman is toast.
This woman is dead.
Yep.
This woman will not survive the next minute of this movie.
Yeah.
And indeed, that is what happened. Menendez shows up with a Terminator 2 box of flowers.
Yeah.
And he's just all like, "I'm trying to find Officer McQueen or whatever." I'm just all like, "Oh, R.I.P. this wife."
Yeah.
God damn.
I mean, geez, like the nerve of them to have the whole machine gun hidden in the box and then having the crushed flowers.
That movie was fresh too. That movie had just come out.
Yeah.
So it's all like, no, that is one actor's move. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they took 2 iconic scenes from Terminator 2 in this movie.
With the helicopter.
The helicopter earlier, and now the box of flowers and the shotgun reveal.
I mean, look, the helicopter thing is impressive. It's not like a helicopter going underneath the fucking aqueduct or anything like that in Terminator 2. Let's be clear. This movie is not Terminator 2 in terms of Terminator action and adventure. But
Terminator 2 got away with it because they pulled it off and didn't ask permission. I'm sure everyone's guard was up after that. It was like, okay, no more permits on this particular highway. No more like low-flying buzz about underneath an overpass.
It worked once, and amazingly, no one died. So let's not risk that again.
Let's not push our luck here.
Menendez murders McQueen's wife.
Yeah.
It takes him a long amount of time before he realizes that happens.
Yeah.
So it's just like weird information that only the audience knows, but McQueen's going through the movie without even realizing that this horrible thing has happened.
Well, he also is witness to Gary Daniels getting killed in the ring against the Swordman.
So Menendez shows up, and we see like the graphics of like the next match or whatever, and it's like Viper versus Smasher or whatever, and we see Gary Daniels show up on the screen, and Menendez immediately goes, "Hey, that's one of the cops that busted me." And it's like, bullshit, you can recognize that face on that blurry ass 90s fucking like TV or whatever. Everything's fucking...
for the plot to continue, it has to be seen that way.
Digitized to fuck. He looks like 12 other different people. But no, Menendez immediately recognizes him.
Yeah.
And so Drexel goes, "Oh, why did we make this interesting, perhaps?"
Yeah.
And he engineers a fight between Gary Daniels and the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, and that's where Gary Daniels gets his head chopped off.
I literally went, no!
The best fighter in the entire tournament
I audibly went, no, because it's all like the most interesting person in this movie is now gone. And it's like, I didn't expect him to get beheaded.
No.
That was very visceral and very graphic. And I guess they lay the seeds for it earlier because we see another pointless McQueen versus somebody fight during that, and intercut with McQueen punching and kicking or whatever. We cut to Gary Daniels in the dressing room warming up, and he's doing these incredible Van Damme splits, and it just keeps cutting back to him, centering himself.
In a perfect world, this would have been the star of our movie.
Yeah.
But because this guy's the son of Steve McQueen, we thought maybe we'd have some star power.
And I was thinking, it's all like, why do they keep cutting back to him just doing the splits? It's impressive, sure, certainly, but it's like, and then as soon as he starts fighting the Ultimate Warrior, I'm like, oh, that's why they did it, because they want you to miss Gary Daniels before he gets killed. So he dies. Chad McQueen reacts by throwing a barbell through a window and then leaping out of the window. It's like after, immediately after the Ultimate Warrior decapitates him, McQueen remembers, oh right, I'm a cop.
Yeah.
I could have stopped this much earlier. Could have stopped all of this way earlier. I don't really know why because I guess they haven't found the secret underground AIDS vaccine lab yet.
Well, also the law doesn't exist in the Hell Zone. He has no jurisdiction.
There is no law, yeah. So but if he has no jurisdiction, he can do whatever the fuck he wants at any point in time, and he could have reacted earlier and not had his best friend murdered before his eyes.
Yep.
He's a bad cop and a bad person.
Yeah, he just kind of rampages his way out of the club. At one point, he shoots his gun into the air to get everyone to clear out. Nobody reacts. No one pays him any mind.
That's like that 8th time a gun has gone off in the last 2 minutes. Yeah. It's the Hell Zone.
Well, I was just like, you and I aren't taking this guy seriously. No one in the fucking movie takes him seriously either.
No, and they really shouldn't.
Yeah,
he goes back and he finds his wife.
He identifies the body, and so now his love of his life and his best friend have both been killed over the course of an hour.
Love of his life in quotes. Well, let's just put a.
This was before he met Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Luckily, he already has someone in the hopper or whatever. Yeah. He's genuinely more upset at Gary Daniels' death than he is at his wife's death. The kid is never mentioned again.
Nope.
I guess the kid just went to his mother-in-law's, and that's where he lives now.
Yep.
Because the kid is never brought up again once.
Look, he's your responsibility now, Grandma. I got eyes on Lisa over here.
So it's a very funny scene between him and the captain. It's just all like, what can I do, Brando? He's all like, let me go back in. And the captain goes, no. It's just like a great. He's all like, anything I can do, you name it. Yeah, I want to get revenge. I can't do that. Yeah. I'm not going to let you do that.
Well, then you're going to have to take my badge away. And he says, I don't want your badge. I want you alive. And then Chad McQueen looks directly into the camera and says, I'll take care of that.
He does. He looks directly into the camera. He's talking directly to us, the audience, at this moment. So I think Drexel sends him a message that he now has Lisa. He's got Lisa kidnapped. He's like, I have a friend of yours, and you better come get her. Otherwise, something bad's gonna happen. So he goes back into the Hell Zone.
He one-man armies it. He shoots the already burning cars just as a warning shot. He gets into the now empty death ring where he's met with Menendez.
This is a great moment. If this had worked, it would have been like the coolest fucking thing ever. But of course, it doesn't work. So he's watching the video message from Drexel, who has a gun pointed at Lisa's head or whatever, and it's all like, you better come to this place. It's all like, I'm gonna kill her, McQueen. You better not know it. Oh, and I got another friend of yours here too. And then Menendez steps into frame in the video, and he goes like, hey, Braniff.
Behind you.
And he turns around, and he's actually there with a shotgun, and he nails him with the shotgun. Yeah. It's all like, good move if it worked. But of course, I guess the fucking bulletproof vests in the future are fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about bulletproof vests. They stop you from dying. It still hurts. It still hurt. You're still winded for like an appropriate amount of time. Whatever. I guess I'm complaining about something that all action movies do or whatever. But whatever. But yeah, McQueen is immediately able to get get the benefit of Menendez, and Menendez gets shot.
Yeah.
And he avenges his wife killer, even though I don't think he even really put two and two together that Menendez was the one.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care at this point. He's just
not
like,
asking questions.
If
anything, he owes him a thank you.
It's a
debt of gratitude.
It's a broad revenge. It's all like, like the two important people in my life are killed. I'm just gonna get revenge on this entire scope of people. It doesn't really matter who killed who. I'm gonna get all of them.
I'm not here to ask questions. He finds the lab making the AIDS vaccine, and he just dooms every citizen in the Hell Zone by killing all the lab assistants.
Yeah, like the sequel to this movie is just all like the AIDS vaccine has wiped everyone out. It's super AIDS now. He just smashes it. I guess that's the end of that.
Yeah. And then he meets up with Drexel and Lisa, who's held at gunpoint on the rooftop. And
is it a rooftop?
I don't.
It just looked like your standard.
I guess, but it
empty warehouse.
Yeah, but it ends with him falling through a glass ceiling. Drexel.
Drexel. You're right. So yeah, they are up somewhere. It's like a covered roof. It's like the top floor of like a building.
It's like a set.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And who's to step out of the shadows? But the swordsman. And
that's what he's been doing. He's been stepping out of the shadows the entire movie. He's always just in the shadows.
Yeah. And it's our main event, and we just see just two really shitty fighters going at it.
Yeah, I know, like 20 minutes earlier. This is the thing. Mm-hmm. This is where the disappointment starts to creep in, because 20 minutes earlier, we got the Ultimate Warrior versus Gary Daniels, and I'm all like, oh, wait, there's a lot of movie left.
Yeah.
And like, this is the fight that I want to see, but it's like, no, we got to make room for Chad.
Yeah.
Chad and Jim, they got to go at it.
Yeah.
And as you probably expect, Chad McQueen comes out the victor because Swordsman gets his sword out.
Yep.
And
stabs it into like an electrical box.
Yep, and he gets electrocuted with that great electrocution.
Drawn on the film.
On the film, exactly.
Always a fan of that technique.
Yep. And then he manages, I forget how he manages to save the day. He gets Lisa away from Drexel.
Lisa manages to wrestle herself away just in time for Chad to toss the swordsman's swords to Drexel. Drexel's final words just before he shoots Lisa are,
"Too bad. But you lose anyway."
To which Chad replies,
"No, you lose."
Oh, cool.
Oh, what a cool guy.
He got him. Fucking read him for filth.
Yeah, Drexel falls through a skylight, and then Lisa and McQueen, they have a kiss.
And she says, let's both get out of the Hell Zone. And then cut to credits, and then we cut to Billy with his grandmother. It's like, when's Daddy coming home?
That asshole of a father of yours, you forget about him. Yeah, wow. Love that.
So that was firepower. Was there anything that we didn't mention? There's a scene where they're in like the future bar, where they're in Drexel's club.
Yeah.
Where it's very clearly like them trying to figure out, okay, how can we do like weird future stuff on like a $5 budget or whatever. And there's like a moment where someone seemingly like mixes a drink from like a goldfish tank.
Right.
Did you notice this? Where like the scene opens up on like a scene where it's like goldfish swimming through a big tank, and then it like shows us like this tube or whatever, and then it cuts down to like the bartender like pouring a spigot, and like the goldfish water goes into a drink, and I guess that's a future cocktail.
Yep.
I did.
Well,
no explanation was given for that, and I don't know.
Well, just with them assuming, well, this is what a cappuccino machine looks like in the early 90s. Just imagine what the drink devices are going to look like in the future.
Yeah, because there's a lot of scenes set in this bar or whatever, and for the most part, everyone is drinking the exact same thing, which is just a rocks glass filled with light blue liquid. Because it's the future, so drinks have to be blue. That's how you do it.
Hey, I mean, there's a couple of fancy cocktail bars here in town that would serve something exactly like that.
I know.
But it wouldn't come from a fish tank.
And also, it wouldn't be the only thing you can drink.
Right.
No one's like sipping a beer or anything like that. Everyone is just drinking straight Windex.
Beer was outlawed. It was
It
discontinued.
was, absolutely, yeah. Well, it's too hard to produce in the in the hell.
Discontinued after 2003.
Yeah, we did like a big swerve back to like moonshine back in the Hell Zone or whatever. Everything's made out of fish water and potatoes.
During the chase sequence on the overpass with the helicopter, Sledge gets onto a bike and has like this, computer tracker thing on the dash. It looks like what Luke Skywalker was looking through when he wanted to destroy the first Death Star. Every shot fucking missed, and he even mentioned that, the tracker's off on this sort of thing. So what the fuck point was having this on there in the first place?
Yeah, it's like this amazing like future weapon, but like he forgot to like calibrate it before he like left the thing. So it's all,
even in the future, nothing works.
It's like, hold on, I gotta hold down the button so it'll reset.
Yeah,
and then it'll go. Yeah, they're chasing down like the villain's car, which is both like this impressive sort of like armored vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very throwbacky. It's like very like aesthetically like from like the 80s. It looks like a VW bus.
It almost reminded me of something I would have seen in like Batman the Animated Series. It was very
Yes!
it was very Art Deco inspired.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what that reminded me of, and yes, that absolutely looks like something that Batman would try and take down himself.
Using
with much more
his computer guided rocket bike.
Yeah, and Sledge is trying to figure out how to break down this thing, and he says like, she's tighter than a virgin on her first date, it's like 2 minutes earlier they shot up the lady that you had a crush on, so it's all like, well, everyone moves on super fast in this movie.
Yeah.
No one has any time to mourn anyone, I guess. Well, firepower. Did it have a certain something, or was it just a whole lot of nothing, Jameson? I feel like we're kind of on the same page on this one. I think you said this earlier, is that as I was watching it, I'm like, on paper, this should all be stuff that I enjoy. And I feel like I was enjoying it as I was watching it, but then as soon as it was over, and I was trying to like collect all my thoughts and think about how I thought about it as a whole, I'm just all like, yeah, a little disappointing, honestly. Yeah. Like it just didn't go far enough. Like it kind of did the bare minimum of everything that you expect from a piece of like cheesy trash like this, but it didn't go the extra mile to make it like interesting or stand out.
Yeah. It seems like it was misguided in certain areas, certainly with who you have as the leads on this. It had a fairly strong opening, I thought, and a decent enough premise. And I think once they got all that out of the way, and they actually had to like film these guys actually undercover in a tournament, they really didn't have as many ideas for the mid portion of the movie.
Yeah.
So would it have been better if Gary Daniels was
100%?
Probably. It would have just made for more impressive action sequences, I guess. Him getting taken out of the movie the way that he was, like, oh, well, now I've immediately lost interest.
Yeah, now I don't really care.
In our main character, who throughout the movie is becoming more and more unlikable.
Yeah.
And he never even started as, like, my top guy to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. At the end of it, it's kind of a really dark ending because he's lost everything. And he lost his best buddy, he lost his wife.
And he's choosing to ignore his son.
He's choosing to ignore his son. He's going to run away with this lady that he's known for like a day and a half. And it's like, I don't feel sorry for him because he's kind of the worst.
And I don't agree with him.
Yeah. But, based on what I learned about this director and producer or whatever, this clearly was like a film that he made in between making 3 other movies.
Yeah.
Like he was like busy like on post-production for like the next movie when this movie was
maybe just a little distracted and
so,
like couldn't really adjust on the go.
He was clearly pumping these out at a steady rate or whatever, so he clearly wasn't thinking about the larger picture.
The high art that this could have been.
Richard Pepin. I also just want to bring, I should have mentioned this earlier, the sole credited writer for this movie is Michael January, which it has to be a fake name. It has to be like it's just all like we need to have like a pseudonym for like this movie because we can't use your credited name. Like, what do you want to know? And he looks around, he just sees a calendar on the wall.
Let me go with Alley Cat January.
But like, it wasn't a complete waste of time.
No.
You can definitely put this on and get some all right moments out of this. There were a few times where, again, that opening car chase with like the 2 car, a great practical stunt that you just don't see anymore. Genuinely very impressive. Yeah. But
there was some decent camera work and good martial arts that happened throughout the movie.
So it's
good set dressing, but
it's a very tentative certain something.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
There are better.
There are better. I was hoping for a little bit more of it, but it's far from the worst thing that we've ever watched.
Agreed.
Yeah. But there we go.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Warrior.
thank you, Warrior. Rest in peace. You had some really bad opinions on a lot of things, but maybe in your final days you realized that and you tried to make up for it. And you know what? That's all we can ask of anybody in this life.
As you go on to the next life.
and you're in like the what was he saying about like
the terrain of testament or
that's where he is right now. He's in the terrain of testament, and he's finally reached the apex of what he wanted to accomplish.
Who knows? Maybe he's like getting reincarnated into like a tiger or something as we speak,
or maybe he's burning in hell. But anyway, that's not for us to know. That was
the hell zone.
The hell zone. He's in the fire zone now. The Hell Zone now. Fire.
It's okay.
Even Fire Zone is a better title than Firepower. It's the most nothing title of all time. But there we go.
Yeah.
That was Firepower from 1993, directed by Richard Pepin. If you enjoyed this episode, please listen to our back catalog of episodes. The further back you go, we are called The Fuck Is This? Don't worry about it. It's the same podcast. It's just Jameson and me and sometimes another person. We're just having a laugh. We're just talking about movies and we're having a laugh. And we've been doing WrestleMania from the very beginning. This is what, like the 7th year that we've done? 6th or 7th?
However long the
years
podcast has been
this.
around. Yeah.
Yes.
It fucking predates the Nothing Movies name.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And next episode, we're going to be talking about an old favorite. This is going to be good. This is going to be a good one. So you definitely want to check
long-awaited return
for next time. But we'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. You can follow us on all of the social media on Instagram and Facebook, and I guess that's just it. I guess just that one. If you're listening to us on Spotify, check us out on YouTube, where Jameson adds all of the visual signifiers, so you can see the visual history of the Ultimate Warrior, and you hate using your eyes. We also on Spotify, so you can flip over to that. I'm Kaz Lesgard. You can follow me on Letterboxd.
I'm Jameson Rafter. You can watch my YouTube stuff. I did a bunch of cartoons. I got a YouTube channel about it. And this is just some gibberish that the Ultimate Warriors said.
I would expect nothing less.
The planetary cosmos are what destinies mean and what evolutions are about. Unconditional acceptance of what end of each beginning. Moments in between determine the door next chosen.
And I'm shaking the ropes. I've been shaking the ropes. You can't see it, but I'm shaking the ropes like crazy, because that's all I know about this guy.
And if you have any idea of what any of that means, let us know.
And if you have a copy of the Ultimate Warrior comic book, please send it to the following address.
Yeah. Or to a trash heap.
That's where they found it.